Warriors. How are you guys tonight? It's so exciting to see you guys here. Thank you for waiting for me. I apologize for being a couple minutes late. Let's see. It is Sunday night. It's the 29th of January and it's just about 7:20. So I hope everybody had a really good weekend. Um, you know, I always want to have something brilliant for you guys. And I think I actually came up with something like literally right before we started because I'll be truthful. I've been busy. I taught my third teenager how to drive today and I'm still alive. So it went well. um anyway, weekends are super busy for me, being that we have a very large family and a lot of activity, and then there's the pets. We're, a very full house. So I just try to enjoy it. But like I've told you guys again and again, this is like my top priority. I really love having my YouTube channel and having my chat. And Sifas says, well, congrats. Teaching them how to drive is always horrifying. I had no idea until the first time I did it. I was like, holy crap, how are we supposed to do this? So yeah, today's was the first lesson for the 15-and-a-half-year-old. He turned 15 and a half on the 25th. He got his permit on the 28th. He wasted no time. And then that was yesterday. And then today we're out there driving. So he was really actually quite a natural and really happy. I hadn't seen this kid that happy, and I can't tell you how long. I think he's been miserable trying to count down the days to get to that independence. So I'll start. It's like the final destination. Oh yeah, I mean, we just drove around the parking lot and he was just in heaven, absolute heaven. So let me get on it. What I had this little epiphany right before I turned on the show, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait to share this with you guys. Everything I say is simply my opinion, simply for the sake of conversation, hoping to open up a discussion and have an intelligent conversation. I'm hoping to learn. I'm hoping that people are here to learn with me and help me learn. And I think we can all work together, and it's a wonderful thing. So I always want to provide information for you guys. I hope to be a source of ideas, not regurgitating crap from the news or other channels. I mean, I try to pay attention to all that, but I try to have my own ideas. And then I like to see your ideas in the chat because you guys are freaking brilliant. And then every once in a while, we get something right here live in action, just spontaneously. So that's my jam with this whole thing, is just like the authenticity, the spontaneousness, being genuine. And if it goes well, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay. It doesn't always, we're not always going to have the best show of our life, right? That doesn't happen like day after day, usually. If it does, then that's kind of a setup for disaster at some point, right? Anyway, did you see my Kylie video earlier today? I emailed it to you, but I wasn't sure. I haven't checked my email, and I've been keeping up with your work, Sifa, but if it's like brand new in the last day or today, then no, I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited. And Kylie is what I wanted to talk with you about. So this was, I just want to share my idea first. I'll put it out there so I'm not like leaving you guys hanging and, dangling a carrot. So I'm trying to think of the things that the cases have in common, that Kylie Rodney's case has in common with the Idaho 4 massacre. And I know there's a lot, and I haven't even sat down and tried yet. I figure I can look at my list of the 70 things that Trinity and Kylie had in common and probably pull about 40 of them, but I haven't done that. I wanted to just first see what came. And I'm so glad that I waited because, like I said, right before getting started here today, I got a little piece of lint. Huge commonality that I honestly hadn't thought of. The graduation thing, that this was a graduation party for Kylie Rodney that she allegedly went missing from. And then we have Kaylee. It's so hard to go Kaylee. It's so hard, you guys. I know I'm not the only one. It's ridiculous. Anyway, So we have Kylie Rodney's graduation party out there at Prosser Reserve in Truckee. And then we've got Kaylee Gonzalez, and I'm pretty sure it's Gonzalez. I know people sometimes say it different ways. The family says just call us the G family. So I think that's okay too. But I'm pretty sure it's Kaylee Gonzalez. So she was graduating. She had finished school. She was going to walk at the graduation that they did, a week or two or so after. It was in December, wasn't it? The graduation, maybe like 4 weeks after. I want to say, I haven't looked at all the dates, but you guys know what I'm talking about. They had that graduation ceremony for the mid-year graduates, and Kaylee Gonzalez was supposed to walk during that graduation, is my understanding. We know she finished early. We know she was graduating. We know she was moving. And that right there is like, seriously, I hadn't thought about how similar that was with Kylie Rodney graduating, getting ready to move out of her, the Lost Trail Lodge. So, Jenny Pooh says she saw your video, Sifa. So yeah, let's everyone check out Sifa's video. I'm really excited to check that out. And what did you think, Jenny? It's crazy, huh? Oh, now I want to, if only I knew how to watch it, like where I could show it right here, Sifa, I would do that. If I could, I would like show it right here so we could all see it together. I'm going to figure out how to do that. I'm going to Google it and ask some people and see what I can do. Mama's Gonna Flip says, hello, everybody. And Jenny Pooh says, it was great. You are really hitting on hot topics, especially with the important people in the area. And, I honestly think we have to beware when we hit on the important people in the area. Those people have a lot of power and a lot of influence. So I'm just saying, we've all seen some, trouble afoot. Just take care of yourselves, folks. That's all. That's fitting because her dad is a G. Stephen is an amazing example of how a parent should be when something happens to their child. Other parents, Truckee needs to take notes. Right. And you guys, this is really cute. You've maybe heard me say it once or twice. Steve Gonzalez, Kaylee's father, goes by Gonzo. I'm pretty sure I've read that in a couple of places. And, if that's his nickname, I certainly don't want to be calling him that as a YouTuber without his consent, but I think it's adorable. I think it's really cool. Anyway, Steve G is what, I think would be appropriate to say. I would let you do that, Justice. Well, if only I knew how. Goncalves. So, Black Keller, I'm not going to get into it with the C sounding like an S or the C sounding like a K. And since you put a C there, I don't know which one you mean. But there was a big argument on Kelly What's the Obsession the other night. Somebody was just insisting that it was like a K sound. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that I've heard the family say it a bunch of times with an S sound. So I didn't want to fight with the person. I just let them say what they were saying and just went, okay. I'll call them the G family since I've heard them say that, this is a lifelong issue for them. Anyway, let's get back to the similarities, the graduations, So there's your three main areas of your life of stability: your work, your home, and your significant other or your dating life. So your career is also your school, of course, your job, and then the place where you reside, and then if you're in a relationship with somebody or single. Those things are your three main areas that you want to try to keep consistent as much as possible for obvious reasons, right? We all know how stressful it is to move or to change jobs or to end a relationship, or sometimes even starting a relationship, like getting married. The first year is really stressful because you're shifting gears, you're transitioning, you're making a big change. So when you have two of those things happening at the same time, like moving and job or graduation, it's a very turbulent time in your life. Even if it's all positive, it's still hard. And you need to brace yourself. That's why I'm being all serious, because I know we all go through this, right? When you have all three changes happen, even in the same 2-year span, seriously, even in the same 24 months, you have all three of those things change, it's going to be a rough ride. Kaylee was having all three of those things change in the same month. That's a disaster. Even if it's all changes for good, it's an explosive, hard time in a person's life to undergo three changes. Those three life domains in a 2-year period is going to rock your world. Try doing them all in 4 weeks. So, and I want to be clear that I'm not implying that she brought any trouble into her life as far as being victimized in this horrific fashion. That has nothing to do with anything, right? I mean, Maddie wasn't making any of those changes, and the same thing happened to her. She was not making any of those three changes. And then also with Xana and with Ethan. So let me see what you guys are saying up here. What is Sifas channel? Sifas channel is just called Sifa. And so probably if my mod, hey Kale, thanks for coming on. Kale says it's gone solve S or gone solve us. I don't know. Anyway, Kale, if you want to drop Sifa's link, that would be much appreciated. Gonsalves. No, of course it's not Gonzalez. We know that. That's totally, I don't think I've ever heard anybody cross those wires. Of course, that's a much more common name, but yeah, it's clearly that's not their last name. Pam Rex, my channel should pop up if you search for Kylie Rodney birth certificate. Right. Sifa is the one who got that birth certificate and posted it. And good evening, Caleb Lee and Justice Warriors. Caleb Lee says, good evening, Xana and Justice Warriors. So yeah, we are here for our therapy. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. As much as I love you guys, it gets late. My brain starts to melt. I need to pack it in and get ready for a very productive work week. So let's see. The other things, just right off the top of my head, like literally as I was coming into the room to sit down and come on live with you guys. So not looking at my notes, not trying to think stuff up, but when I wrote down graduation, so I wouldn't have like a brain fart and forget, like, what was that again that I was so excited to share with them. So I wrote it down so I would be sure not to forget. And then it just came to me right, you know, after graduation, I wrote drugs. Sorry, not sorry. We know that's a fact with both. We know that that's a factor with both. I'm not making any judgments. I'm just saying that's there. Graduation, drugs, and money. And one last thing that I wrote down, and it, like I said, I wasn't trying. It was just spontaneous. Graduations, drugs, money, shady law enforcement, you guys. Again, sorry, not sorry. Just keeping real. Shady law enforcement. And when I'm talking about the shady law enforcement, like in my videos the last few days, a lot of that is the shadiness over there at Washington State University, at Wazoo. And crazy shenanigans that they've been doing at the zoo in the police department for a long time, right? And then 4 of them getting resigned is how I like to say it politely. You know, they got themselves resigned, 4 of them. So the 3 supervisors, the police chief, the assistant chief, and the captain, they all got themselves resigned this last summer, like July, I think, maybe June. And then the police chief from Pullman swooped in. So police chief from Pullman retired from Pullman. He's getting his healthy pension there. And then he's probably getting a 6-figure salary over across town at the university. And just saving the day, just coming on in and being the hero and cleaning up the mess, whitewashing basically. I mean, that's just a fact. You can't have stuff like that happen and not have it be a shitstorm and try to pretend that nobody knew what was going on, because really it all comes down to who knew what when. Anybody who knew anything prior needs to go technically, but everybody's trying to cover their rear ends. And the guy who caused all the trouble with his sexcapades all across the campus, that guy, he didn't resign. He didn't get himself resigned until November. November 4th is the article that I saw about that. So I don't know if his last day was November 4th, but it was right around November 4th, which was 9 days before this most horrific quadruple massacre. Kind of too close for comfort, you guys. I'm not saying that they're related, but these are small communities. These things have a cause and effect. You got this shit storm at Wazoo, and then you've got this nightmare 7 miles down the road in Moscow. So let's see a few more here, you guys. Past my bedtime here for an hour. Where are you, Fred Field, if you don't mind sharing? Are you in the UK? Are you like way later, like 5 hours? I'm 7:30 here, so that would be like 12:30. Oh, Sifas got his website, or Kale has Sifas website. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kale. That's excellent. Good job. You did it. And Fred, you go to bed at 6 p.m. That's cute. I don't think Fred's on our East Coast time, but maybe, who knows? I mean, if you have to get up at 3 in the morning, then sure, go to bed at 6, right? And some people have to get up that early if they are bakers or they work on the morning news or other jobs. That's rough, but you do what you got to do, right? The Emerald Triangle is the bane of the Northern California, Humboldt County, not so humble, right? And that's been that way for decades. And the whole thing with marijuana becoming legal threw a curveball to the people that were raking in all the money for decades, hand over fist. Now it's legal and everybody gets a piece of the pie. How do you handle that one? Kale, my work alarm is at 2:30. Oh my goodness, are you on the East Coast time, Fred? And if you want to share what you do, why you have to get up at 2:30, that's wild and crazy. Yeah, you do what you got to do. Chicago. I'm really curious if you want to share what your field is. Like, are you a morning news person? Seriously, or do you make bagels or something? Those things that you just have to get made by 4 a.m. Jenny Poo says, Hola, Cesafar, uncanny that is only a few miles away. Timing, related commonality. Cesafar, that's what I'm saying. It was only like, I think the day before yesterday that I saw that article about the date that guy resigned. Kurt, Kurht, I think that's his last name, the sergeant that was having his sexcapades all across campus and finally got in trouble. Like, first he got in trouble, but not really. And then everybody got in trouble for him not really getting in trouble, because the trouble was reported officially back in 2020. And then it was just this last March that the university said, oh, we just found out about this, and now we're going to have to investigate your investigation, put all you guys on administrative leave or have you work from home because, we can't trust you out in public. Like, look what happens. Oh, should I say it one more time? Sorry, not sorry. I mean, that's just funny, right? And again, funny, not funny. Yeah. Okay. And you got the law enforcement in the area. And by that, I don't mean law enforcement officers. I mean lewd enforcement officers. They're sick. Well, and their shenanigans, their sexcapades are very, very similar to um, Sheriff Wu from Placer County. That whole thing with the May 2021 affidavit that the was that the retired prosecuting attorney that wrote up that affidavit about Wu's sexcapades and how that was not handled appropriately. He was actually literally investigated for that by a subordinate. He was investigated by a subordinate. So the affidavit calls that out and says, no, that's obviously not appropriate. Um, and all that was made public before he was sworn in as sheriff. So they went ahead with it anyway. And then when this thing happened with Kylie Rodney, it kind of fits in there just a little too sleazy with Wu having sex with underage ride along and admitting to it. So he tried to say that it was without merit, because if you say without merit, then that complaint cannot become a public record to be requested by the public. So he said it was without merit, but he admitted that it happened. This guy, Kurt, also admitted that it happened. And the story goes that he tried to tell his supervisors the name of the person that he was with on one of those occasions. And they said, no, we don't need to know. And then in their report, they said, well, we couldn't corroborate his story with any other party because we didn't know who the other party was. So that was what was investigated by the university and why all those people were let go. And people are not happy when they get resigned, especially when they get resigned because of someone else's wrongdoing. And then he got to hold on to his job for like 6 months longer than all the people that he got fired, basically. And I'll just say it, got fired. All right. Chicago time, Kale says about Fred Field. I'm watching people climb poles in Philly. I have not heard anything about the protests hopefully remaining peaceful. I hope. I hope. Oh, Fred works for Menards and receiving 5 a.m. start. And I love Menards. I love that store. Oh my goodness. Wow. Dang, Fred. Well, good for you. Thank you for doing a good job. And able to work super, super early. Kiki Ray says, my boyfriend makes bagels. Ha ha, that is so funny. Does he make them professionally, like at 4 a.m? I appreciate those fresh bagels every day, I'm telling you. But I wouldn't want to be the one having to manufacture them in the early hours of the morning like that. So Sifa, yep, the woohoo choo choo lewd enforcement train. Yeah. So back to the story with Moscow, and you've got across town in Pullman, you got this crazy stuff going on at the university police department. We got the police chief that interviewed the criminal defendant transferring over to the college, the Wazoo police office or station, I guess is what they call it. I call it department. I think they call it a station. Um, and then you've got that other department at Moscow, that the Moscow PD is the police for the University of Idaho. The University of Idaho only has security. They don't have their own police. So we have this heinous situation with these extremely vivacious and beautiful, lovely, I mean, just like the cream of the crop, just the beautiful, smart people. I know Maddie was on the honor roll. I would imagine that, being in sororities, they all try to keep their grades up. That whole sorority thing is another factor too, you guys. The two sororities, that the people that lived at that residence at 1122 King Avenue, the two sororities that they were involved in were both on probation. And I wrote down their Phi Beta, is it Phi Beta Phi? Pi Beta Phi, I think, right? That's how you say it. Pi Beta Phi and Alpha Phi, if I'm saying them right. So both of them were on probation, both sororities at the university, for reckless behavior. So it sounds like what had happened in that aftermath of these four beautiful young adults becoming unalived in such a violent, ruthless, grotesque fashion, that then the two people that lived in the house that were there 8 hours later, they summoned their friends. That's the language from the affidavit. They summoned their friends, and then they called the police. That first call was sent out or was dialed at 11:58. I haven't heard back yet for my public records request for that. I will be amazed if they send it to me. But I just asked them straight up for the record of that phone call. So I did that this last week in an email. So if I don't hear back from them, I will follow up with another email this week, or maybe I'll pick up the phone and call. And if I do hear back, I will be amazed if it's like, here you go. I would think that it will be a denial, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I mean, they've been keeping it secret for a long time, much, much, much longer than is typical or really allowed with sunshine laws. I mean, sure, they're the law and they do what they do, and Idaho is their own, their own wild, wild west. So let me get caught up with west of Mississippi, wild, wild westcapades. Oh, goodness. And, I'm still so curious why the Nothing Burger and his father drove down through Colorado to come across the country. I understand that it could have been because of the cold weather. And yeah, of course, the further south you go, the better the conditions might be. But there wasn't like a big snowstorm or anything. And it's just very curious. It's very curious because, again, getting into the legalization of marijuana, it's recreational marijuana is legal in Washington, not legal in Idaho, but legal in Colorado and also Oregon and California. So I have no idea if that played any factor. No idea. But I'm curious what the deal was. I mean, who knows? Maybe they knew somebody there that they wanted to visit, or maybe they wanted to see a certain site, or they wanted just to see Colorado. I have no idea, but it added like 8 hours to their long cross country drive. So there should be a reason other than for the heck of it, Where were we? Officer Wayne, ew, yes, really, really yucky. Sheriff Woo, more like Sheriff Whoops. That's a good one, Tammy Lynn. That's pretty brilliant. I got to highlight that one. Sheriff Whoops. I love it. All right. Let's get caught up here. And we are already at half an hour. So we'll get caught up. We'll chat for a few more minutes and call it a night. And then we'll do our regular morning routine tomorrow. Reconvene. Happy 2023, year of the rabbit. Is it the year of the rabbit? It is tough on the 75-year-old body. Are you serious? You're 75 and you do that? That kicks butt, Fred. That's amazing. That is rough. Just getting up early is rough. I don't really enjoy it too much. That's why I'm so dependent on caffeine. That's amazing that you're able to do it, Fred. I go in at 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. and it's a struggle. I prefer the 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. shift. Yeah. Yep. There's definitely benefits to working the graveyard shift in different fields. Yes, hit the thumbs up, Fred Fields says. Thank you for remembering and mentioning that, Fred. I appreciate it. If you guys would be so kind to like, share, subscribe if you feel so moved, I appreciate that very much. I'm just trying to keep my channel strong and healthy and keep going in the right direction. So, I've done some introspection about the growth of it, and the growth of it, as you guys know, is not so much my focus. Developing it is my focus, and I want to develop it into being very authentic and quality, not quantity. I don't ever want to do anything for the likes, the subs, the clicks. That's just not my thing. I like to quote Kurt Cobain, and Harsh was saying this in one of his videos the other day. I've said it before. I would rather be hated for what I am than to be loved for something I'm pretending to be. It's really important to me to be truthful. The unvarnished truth. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how ugly it is. It's a beautiful thing, period. No matter what, even when it's freaking god awful, in my humble opinion. That's just the way I see things. Fee Fi Fo Fum, LOL, hazing, Caleb Lee, that is brilliant. Are you adding that to my list of the graduation, the drugs, the money, the shady law enforcement, the hazing? Thank you, Caleb Lee. We don't know if hazing was part of one or both of these situations, but it certainly seems like it has something to do with it, even if not like a, a major aspect of it, at least some type of aspect of it. From what I heard, they're waiting for the trial to release things in the Freedom of Information Act request. Well, that shouldn't be for the initial 911 call. That can be for subsequent 911 calls, but the initial 911 call is supposed to be made available to the public. Again, it's about public safety. So, legal marijuana in Colorado. Yeah, I think they were the first state, weren't they? And then California, if I'm remembering accurately. These officers have got to stop with this corruption. I know. I wish I knew how. Like, I wish I had a game plan. When people talk about, somebody in the chat last night or the night before said something about the defunding the police. And yeah, the defunding the police is supposed to be a way to get the corruption out of it. But that is a very harsh word. And to me, it's a frightening word. If you're going to withdraw the budget from law enforcement, you're not going to have law enforcement. And then you have anarchy. So I know that word is not specifically what the intention is, but the intention is to cut back on law enforcement, which I don't agree with. I think we need the law enforcement that we have. We just need not corrupt law enforcement. So I personally believe that we have a lot of not corrupt law enforcement in our country, and we don't hear about those departments and those officers. We hear about the bad apples, and we see the bad apples. But yeah, there definitely needs to be a major movement to hold police accountable. Absolutely. Developing your own community in a way, right? Well, sort of. I mean, I don't know if it's my community, it's our community, right? I mean, you guys are developing it with me too. Absolutely. Hey, other mod, thank you for being here. C3POYW. It always cracks me up when I read out your name like that. Do we know any details about the true sorority recklessness you mentioned? That I think had to do with hazing. The reckless behavior that they're on probation for, I believe, was hazing and drugs and alcohol, probably more alcohol. They probably wouldn't mention the drugs, right? Because that never happens. um, and we all must remember that people all come together with a click of a mouse or a key. Isn't that cool? Right. It's like the new community meeting. That's what we're doing right now, right? We're having our little community, our town hall discussion. And so my mod asks, you're doing a list? I'm thinking I'm doing a list. So I just kind of came up with these things tonight: the graduation similarity, the drug factor, the money, sketchy law enforcement, and then Caleb Lee added hazing to that. I'm also really curious, you guys. I have heard again and again that one of the kids involved in this whole situation has a parent who is highly connected in the Idaho government, like an attorney general or something like that. Maybe for a while, I had heard that it was Jack Showalter's family. And then I've heard that it's Dylan Mortensen's family. Do you guys know? Have you heard about this mucky muck in the state government that has a kid that's directly or indirectly involved in this situation? Tammy Lynn says, I have a slightly obscure opinion on Nothing Burger. I think he has a brain tumor that's pushing on his, I don't know how to say that word, amygdala. He feels nothing, has no fear, and pushing his optical nerve, visual snow migraines. So with the face that you put with that, I think you might be joking. And I always say there's truth to every joke. And yeah, the whole thing with the visual snow is really frustrating to me because I'm thinking, like so many kids, he probably was playing computer games 24/7, and that's going to cause a lot of problems, and that visual snow could probably be one of them. And it seemed like he was glomming onto that Facebook group as a 14-year-old, that like support group about people suffering from visual snow, that he was just glomming onto that to glom onto it. I'm not convinced that he suffers from that. If he did, what the heck is he doing driving around at midnight and stuff? How could he navigate through the house in the dark like that with just like the lights coming in through the windows or from, night lights, electronic gadgets? I mean, the second floor lights were probably on if Xana was awake, which it sounds like she was wide awake. Anyway, yeah, I think he definitely has something wrong with his brain. If he is indeed guilty as they are charging him. Oh, I meant to pin it. I think it unpinned it. I probably already had it pinned, right? Anyway, I definitely think there's something wrong with his brain. I mean, he's missing a few screws, or it's supposed to be, but we see how closely they follow police protocol. Sifas says, Aaron Hicks. They were first in Colorado. Yeah. Hello again, Aaron Hicks. Hope you're having a great day. You have to have proper funding for proper training, especially de-escalation. It's all about de-escalation, Jenny. Like Jenny Pooh. Like the situation, those videotapes that they released on Friday night of the Memphis Scorpion Squad killing Tyree Nichols. Am I saying his name right? I hope. Um, I don't know what they pulled him over for. And he ran, which you shouldn't do, but it's all about de-escalating. It's not about, just the use of excessive force is, again, that's one of the worst things you can do as a police officer. The glory seeking, and use of excessive force. Those are the things that make all the other police officers look at you like you're a freaking dirtbag, because you are. If you're a glory seeker, if you use excessive force, you're a freaking dirtbag. You just don't do it. You use the least amount of force necessary to contain the situation. And the more awesome you are as a police officer, the less force you need to apply, because you are skilled and trained, and you have your taser, you have your baton, you have your mace, you have your physical strength, you have your basket hold, you've got your partners there with you. There were 5 of them. They could have just held him down. Anyway, we all know that they wanted to do what they did, and it's horrible. So yeah, the de-escalation is huge. That's what they're trained to do. They're trained to de-escalate. That is what they're trained to do. So thank you, Jenny Pooh. That's right on the money. And yeah, they need to just stay active with their training. Let's see. I'm going to get caught up and then wrap up. Okay. Yes, I did tag that one. That's an awesome comment. Thank you, Jenny. Dilly Owens, put your likes button. Yes, please put your likes button. So yeah, thanks, Dilly. Just reminding us all to hit that like button if you feel so moved. It is very much appreciated. The sharing the videos is the best thing that you can do to help a channel. And if you can get it on national television, that's even better, right? But just, sharing with friends, sharing in Facebook groups or whatever types of social media platforms is awesome. I don't do that. I should start doing that. There's so many things you need to do to manage your channel. Hoping for Answers says, hate to say there are a lot of bad apples, makes it hard for the good ones. Right. And we all know it just takes the one. Fred Field, yes, I saw that video from Casper Went as well. Very interesting and obvious. Looking at it with hindsight, I've always felt Greek life was just like an unregulated cult for young people. Whoa, that is wild, Tammy. I've never heard it put that way. An unregulated cult for young people. Sifas says victims starting with K and BF starting with J. Not that that's relevant, but a similarity. I had not put the J thing together. I mean, the K thing, of course I had, because their names are so similar. It's so difficult to make it come out of your mouth right, especially when you're mentioning both of them in the same sentence or in the same conversation. But yeah, Jagger and Jack. So that's wild. That is absolutely wild. And then also with the breaking up, right? So the initials and then the on again, off again nature of their relationships. Both of these girls were getting ready to start new adventures with their graduations. Why has BF not been mentioned much? Mainly Dylan. I have that question too. It really makes to me, it's a big red flag that she's never mentioned. The problem with college towns are they notoriously hide stats on crime. This causes great issues. And not just college towns, but a lot of cities and communities do that because they want to keep people feeling like it's a safe place to buy property, takes care of business. Let's see, Kiki, that's what I would love to know too. Right, about BF, right. And then the thing with having the tie to Reno. BF is from Reno, and the kids there in Truckee had a lot to do with Reno. They hung out in Reno quite a bit. Reno. Have you guys checked out that Living Lake Time video that I put in the description of one of my videos a few days ago? The Reno video. Please check it out if you haven't. It's hilarious. It's pretty cool. I like it. The problem. Okay, I read that one. Where are we at? Bad for business, right? Absolutely bad for business. I don't think there's anything to my K and J comment. It was something that popped in my head. Well, yeah, and when I made my list of 75 things that Kylie Rodney and Trinity Backus's case had in common, um, you know, a few of them seemed repetitive. It seemed like different ways of saying the same thing. So then I took some out and I made it 70. And then I kept taking some out, like things like they both had a dog or stuff like that. Things that were just kind of ridiculous. It's like, okay, let's take those things out. And I was just trying to make it more impactful rather than having this rambling list of 70 similarities. I was trying to boil it down to as few as possible that had a lot of punch. And I haven't even taken out my notes and revisited that or looked on my videos. I can't remember if I distilled it down to 10 or 20, something like that. And that was what I called the video, distilling it down. So I'll go back through and look, and maybe we can discuss that tomorrow morning when we get started. So let's get wrapped up here. But yeah, I mean, thanks, Sifa. Thanks for the comment. I meant to highlight it and I did not. There we go. We should have mental health officials so police aren't dealing with that. They are just not qualified. Divide police duties into more appropriate departments and duties. Right. And most communities, especially cities, have that. That was some of the work that I did in the Seattle area with the crisis and commitment assessments and evaluations, assessment and referral. So most police are not qualified to do that, and they will refer people, or they take them to the emergency room, and then in the emergency room there's social workers. So you got medical professionals, mental health professionals, and social workers. And some police departments do have social workers, mental health professionals, and of course chaplains as well, dealing with tragedy. So, but right, in some senses, police need to be able to do all of those things at the drop of a hat. That's a really good comment, Blackella. And yeah, I think most police departments have, a good handle on that. I sure would hope. Kale, Tyree, thank you, Tyree Nichols. And I know I said it wrong. I think I said, I won't even try. But Tyree Nichols, thanks. I agree about Blackella. They should be working together. Yes, absolutely. That was beyond excessive force. I was so disgusted. It was so hard to watch. Oh my God. It was so hard to watch. Power trips don't help. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. I couldn't even watch the video. I honestly, you guys, I think I said this already to you probably yesterday in last night's video. To me, it was not nearly as bad as watching the Rodney King video for me personally. That's just my opinion. So let's get wrapped up here. Here we are already hitting 50 minutes. Let me just get through the last few. Things like that should never happen. Absolutely right. And because they were Black, to me, my opinion, in some ways it makes it worse that they did that to one of their own, so to speak. But it kind of neutralizes the whole race thing. It just shouldn't happen, period. No matter who or what or why, gender, class. Ugh. They have a Masonic temple right there in downtown Truckee, I believe. Yes, they do, Sifa. They absolutely do. Mm-hmm. Stanley Mortensen, prosecutor. Oh my goodness, Kale. Holy kaboli, you guys. And here I am, like, trying to wrap it up. Kale hits the home run out of the ballpark. Stanley Mortensen, prosecutor for Kootenai. I can't say that. Kootenai County. It's something like that. Anyway, Stanley Mortensen, the prosecutor for the county in Idaho. Good to know. So right there is where we will pick up tomorrow morning, you guys. If you want to do any sleuthing on that, please do, and we can meet up and talk about that. So Dylan's dad, is that Dylan's dad or uncle? Do you know, Kale? So yeah, let's wrap up. Goodness gracious. Thank you, Kale. I wasn't joking before. The amygdala is part of your brain that controls and regulates emotions, fear, threat, perception. It's also close to the optical nerve. A tumor would disrupt function. And, it could be. It could be. You just never know. Guess what? There's a petition online to reinvestigate Jack Showalter 2 months ago. 352 of the 500 signatures needed. I think everybody needs to be investigated. I think that the law enforcement needs to be investigated. You guys know where I want to start. I want to start with that still shot of the surveillance footage from the back of the Corner Club bar 2 hours before this horrible tragedy. Kiki Ray. Yes, I didn't want to mention Reno. So yeah, I don't know what's up with Jack Showalter, but I have a feeling there's something up with both Jacks, with Adam, and with the law enforcement. That's my gut. I'm not saying my gut's always right. Could be incorrect, but I have a lot of suspicion around those people. Greek life just spells trouble to me. I've never understood why we let college kids party unrestrictedly without consequences and then act like it's not a cult. We don't talk about Masons like that. Kiki Ray, I said before I joined a sorority to party, I didn't realize the ritual, the philanthropy, showing up to events, being on boards. It was way more than I bargained for. Wow. Interesting. I've never gone near it with a 10-foot pole. I'm not sure if it's still active. I was just sleuthing and trying to find out who has the governor connection. All right. Governor connection too. Way to go, you guys. Let's find out what is up with that. And I want to wrap up just because I told you guys it was going to be kind of short. We're getting closer and closer to the hour. So let's speed read and get wrapped up and say good night. That wasn't for me in college for sure. The trial bad for business, so won't start until June when students are done. Interesting. Well, and that's not the trial. That's just the preliminary trial. So who knows when they'll schedule the trial for? Who knows? Trinity and Kylie, both girls arrived to their last seen locations in their own vehicles. I don't know if you have that one on your list. I do have stuff about their cars. I don't know that I have precisely that. Probably because I was revisiting it and going again and again, but that's a really good one, Sifa. Thank you. All right, you guys, I'm still trying to get caught up to the end and then to say goodnight. Let's go ahead and do this. Oh my God, that's where Kara's mom had been arrested several times, right? I can find out how related to Dylan they are if you want. Absolutely, please do that. Xana's mom, Kara. Good night, guys, Fred Fields says. Yes, good night, guys. Heather Mosier, Dylan's dad is a district attorney and her mom works for the University of Idaho. Holy crap, Batman. Right there. Ding, 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 ding. Kiki Ray says, oh, shoot, Heather Mosier. I have unlimited Ancestry accounts so I can build Dylan's and find out. All right, you guys. Let's go with the peace out here. That is really another home run, Heather and everybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Have a great night. I hope you get good rest, get rejuvenated. relax, take good care of yourself, get started for a very productive and positive work week. Don't forget, if you need to still stay hydrated, get your water intake up for tonight, get your protein and produce intake up before the day is over, and maybe do some stretches before bed. And then I just hope that everyone has sweet dreams and kindness. Just exude kindness for yourself, for everyone around you, and hopefully everyone around you will exude kindness back, right? All right. So thanks so much, you guys. Oh, please give my friend Savannah a shout out before you go. Which friend, Savannah? What's up with that? Shout out to Savannah. We'll figure out what that was. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'll go ahead and highlight it. Please give Savannah a shout out, you guys. Hey, Savannah, peace out. Have a great one. And Tammy Lynn says, I would really appreciate it. You are welcome. Thanks, you guys. Love and light, and see you tomorrow morning right around 8:30 or so.